Tom and Jerry is a timeless classic once loved by the whole family for its simple concept, hilarious slapstick, and its beautiful animation, but it fell off big time. Created by William Hanna and Joseph Barbera, its first episode, Puss Gets the Boot, aired all the way back in 1940 when our beloved Tom was given the name Jasper, who, like all of our little friends, my cat Oscar included, decided to take pleasure in the psychopathic torment of an innocent little mouse. However, in the episode, every time Jasper gets close, the mouse tricks him, like threatening to drop glasses. Jasper tries to avoid the destruction because the maid warned him she'd kick him out if he made a mess. This makes for an interesting, high-stakes dynamic between the two, but the mouse keeps outsmarting him, like dropping dishes, swimming in Jasper's milk, and in the end, the mouse, now widely known as Jerry, makes a big mess and the maid thinks it's all Jasper's fault. She gets mad, hits Jasper with a broom, and throws him out of the house. The mouse teases Jasper, hanging a home sweet home sign up, and goes back to his cozy hole. The beauty and simplicity of this short spiraled the show into overwhelming success, Tom and Jerry winning 7 Academy Awards for Best Animated Short Film after Hanna-Barbera produced 114 more Tom and Jerry shorts for MGM between 1940 and 1958. Tom and Jerry then became the highest grossing animated short film series of that time, overtaking Looney Tunes. The show then went on for another 75 years, adopting different art styles over the decades. But it wasn't until 2014 that things took a turn for the worst over at Warner Brothers, and they managed to take one of the most charming animation styles and mess it up so bad that it makes Skibbity Toilet look like a masterpiece. Looking at today's Tom and Jerry, it's painfully obvious to anyone who knows anything about cartoons that it's now animated in Flash. I'm talking about the series continuation called The Tom and Jerry Show from 2014 onwards. Subjectively, this gives the whole style of the show a completely dull 2D look that's pretty boring to watch. I'm sure the kids glued to their iPads watching YouTube all day because their parents are too lazy to be parents won't mind, but the old style of Tom and Jerry used to be fun for the whole family. Similar to how the new My Little Pony Friendship is Magic tries to appeal to kids and adults these days. Do I even need to explain the whole brony thing?
And I'm ashamed to admit that I am 18 years old.
But anyway, it's easily arguable that Lauren Faust wanted to make a show that parents didn't want to shoot themselves to while little Amanda is watching Tiny Pop. Is Amanda still a name given to kids these days? I don't know, doesn't really sound fitting. But anyway, while mentioning that show, I must say that I don't think for a second that everything made in Flash is bad. I just don't think it's fitting for something as prestigious and veteran as Tom and Jerry. Again, I'm not really sure if veteran is the right word, but it feels like Tom and Jerry has the grandfather rights and shouldn't be bastardized in such a way. Oh, and they also made Mammy Two Shoes white for some reason. I think it must be a colouring mistake by the new animators, or maybe Tom really did get kicked out of the house to a new family with Jerry just tagging along. In all seriousness though, the newer episodes are more cautious about not including racial or cultural stereotypes, characters are more generic, and there's a conscious effort to avoid potentially offensive portrayals. Anyways, aside from the newer and more whitewashed animation style that I guess is logical considering its cost effectiveness compared to drawing the whole show on paper, although we all know for a fact Warner Bros have that budget, it's not just the style that takes away from the classic era that kicked off Tom and Jerry's mountainous success. The slapstick comedy genius of the older episodes has been toned down. Gone are the days of our dynamic duo using dynamite to attempt to destroy each other. The show writers now have Tom and Jerry work together to solve the convoluted plot of the episode. But hey, maybe that's just character development. The episode's scenes and settings also change from the regular house we're used to. Although I know some of the older episodes are set in different places like medieval France or Manhattan, the newer episodes seem to just run with it. And it sees Tom and Jerry in multiple peculiar scenarios like Tom working as a butler in Downton Abbey, or the duo operate in a detective agency called the Cat and Mouse Detectives. I feel like this makes a lot of the gags situational. Like in the 2014 episode Black Cat, where Tom is trying to be a black cat because they're supposed to be comically bad.
Told you we should have picked the black cat.
But every time he tries it, the comic elements end up punishing Tom instead. The comedy element switches from purely a physical bonk on the head to something way more convoluted. These days, while slapstick comedy is still used, it's a lot more tame and doesn't hold the same intense stakes brought from the old seasons that have clear consequences and threats that are thrown upon Tom for failing to outwit the rodent. I personally feel like this takes a lot of the original charm and therefore reason the show was so loved away from viewers and simply doesn't feel as cozy to watch. Especially with the god-awful design choices they went with. So I can say for certain that I'm glad I grew up with the older episodes. Again though, can't go without saying we aren't the target audience anymore. The conclusion I've come to is that modern day Tom and Jerry is targeted towards only younger audiences, while the dated episodes would have had to appeal to the whole family. Especially in the 1940s when TV airtime was a lot more scarce and a dedicated time slot for a bland TV series dedicated at kids younger than 5 wouldn't have been a good idea. Which brings me to my next point. Tom and Jerry was accessible to pretty much anyone for the fact that the old episodes were guided by beautiful music scores composed by Scott Bradley, who used pieces from composers like Franz Liszt and Beethoven himself, and included very little verbal communication. This meant that it could be enjoyed by people of all ages and nations, although the show did get dubbed in numerous languages. One thing I feel like I can give credit to the newer episodes for is I feel that the classical music guiding each episode still holds up to the older style. And I don't know how much of this is true, but maybe you've also heard that classical music is good for developing children's brains? Source? Trust me, bro. All in all, Tom and Jerry is something that brings together people of all generations. For the boomers, it's a trip down memory lane, and if your son or daughter were to come and tell you that your grandchild is watching some Tom and Jerry on their iPad thingamajig, then maybe it would warm their hearts and bring them back to the times when they enjoyed the show. Let's just hope my hypothetical nostalgic grandparent doesn't actually look on the kid's tablet, or he might just gouge his eyes out. As for me, representing the Zoomer generation, I remember Tom and Jerry being one of my favourite shows at around the ages of 5 to 7. I remember breaking my PS2's disc reader by hitting the top of the machine when a Tom and Jerry game I had at that age would freeze after only one round. Safe to say I didn't get another console for a good few years, but that game went hard and I'm still kinda sad I never got to play the full thing. As for the turbo zoomers that are subjected to the disgusting animation of today, to you I say go watch Skibidi Toilet Brain Rot instead. At least the violence is genuine. If you like this video, help me out by boosting it to more people via the YouTube algorithm and press thumbs up. Also, I always reply to the comments when I get a chance. It's quickly become one of my favourite phone notifications, so let's get a conversation going. Which era of Tom and Jerry did you guys grow up with? Let me know in the comments below. And subscribe for more schizo rants about children's cartoon shows. Oh, and shout out to Rat is Online for giving me this video idea.